One of the really neat features of Excel is something called pivot tables. Pivot tables allow you to summarize large amounts of data with just a few clicks of the mouse. We've got some sample data here that we're going to try our pivot tables out on. The only way you can use a pivot table is if you have repeating data in some of the columns. If I look in column A here, I've got British coffee, Turkish coffee, and French coffee repeating over and over again. If I look in column B, I've got the first 6 months of the year repeating over and over again. And if I look in column C, I've got 4 regions, north, south, east, and west, repeating over and over again. So if you have repeating values, you can summarize the data with a pivot table using those values that repeat. Creating a pivot table is really easy to do. First of all, just start off with the data, the cursor in the data someplace, and then go to your Insert tab and choose Pivot Table. This little dialog box comes up, and you can just take the defaults. The first one up here is to select the table or range. You can also use an external data source, but we're not going to take a look at that. If you start off with the cursor in the data, it will select the data, and notice also that it was smart enough not to include the title up here. You also need to have column headings or field names at the top of each column in order for a pivot table to work. And the other option here is where do you want to put it, and you could put it on an existing worksheet, but we're going to put it on a new worksheet just because it gives you more room and it's not as cluttered. So take the defaults here, click on OK, and Excel takes you to a new sheet, and it looks a little different from anything we've seen in Excel before. Over here on the left is where our pivot table is going to appear, and over here on the right we've got a list of all of our columns with some boxes down here. Now all you have to do to create a pivot table is just go over here and start clicking on checkboxes. If I want the summary of revenue by product, first I click on product, then I click on revenue, and there it is, summarized for me. And it doesn't format it for you, unfortunately, so if I want to format this, I have to do it myself. Notice also when I clicked off of the pivot table here and clicked on the B up here, stuff over on the right disappeared. If the stuff on the right ever disappears, all you have to do is click back in the pivot table and everything will reappear again. Now let's say instead of summarizing by product, I want to summarize by month. All you gotta do is click on month and revenue. If I want to summarize by region, just turn on the region checkbox and it'll sum by region and revenue. Notice also that when you create one of these pivot tables, when you check things off up here, we also see them appearing down below. Whenever I click on a text field up here, it's going to automatically appear down here in the row labels area. So those are going to be my row labels right here. And whenever I click on a numeric value up here, it's going to go down here in the values box, and it's going to sum all of the numbers for that particular label for me. And we'll take a look at some more things that you can do down here when we look at some other features of pivot tables in another video.